Which is the best alternative to a tumble dryer, a heated airer or a dehumidifier? Both of these can make drying your laundry happen way faster because let's face it, who enjoys doing laundry? Being able to speed up the drying time of your clothes is super handy, particularly in winter when you cannot hang up your clothes outside in the sun. I've been testing out both for a few months now and I'm going to run through how they work, how much they cost, how long it actually takes them to dry laundry and which one I think is best. For this, I've used two specific items. There are lots of makes and models of both heated airers and dehumidifiers on the market. So I have got a Dry ABC 10 litre dehumidifier here, and I've got a Lakeland Dry Soon heated airer here. First of all, I'll just go through how these two options actually work. So a dehumidifier reduces moisture in the air. So it's often used to deal with condensation issues, mold and damp in homes, but it can also dry your laundry. Put it close to a drying rack and it extracts moisture from the air around your clothes. As it pulls water out of the air, it gathers the water in a tank and then it pumps out warmer, dry air. And it's that circulation pulling out the moisture and pushing out warm air, pushing that air around your clothes that helps to dry the clothes faster. I really notice in our small utility room when I've been using the dehumidifier how warm that room actually gets. Now, in order to get the most out of a dehumidifier, you need to get the right size for the room that you're going to use it in. This is quite a small capacity dehumidifier, 10 litres, so you should not be using it in a large airy room. It's not going to be doing the job. I use mine in a tiny utility room and it works great for that. You won't get the best out of a dehumidifier of this size in a large room, so you really need to think before you do invest in one exactly where it is that you want to use it. If you're unsure of what size dehumidifier you would need for the size of room that you want to use it in, then if you go on the Miko website, they do actually have a guide to which products they recommend depending on what exactly you want to use it for and what the size of the room that you're going to be using it in is. Moving over to the heated airer, it's basically just a radiator. It has bars like you would get with any other laundry rack, but these bars heat up. It plugs in to the mains, you switch it on, it warms up very, very rapidly, and you need to spread your clothes out across the bars in order to dry them efficiently. So you can fit 2 loads of laundry on this particular heated airer that I have. However, obviously the more clothes you put on, the less you're going to be able to spread them out. The more contact that fabric has with the actual bars, the faster that the fabric is going to dry. How long your laundry actually takes to dry with these very much depends on what it is you're drying. So normal clothes will dry way quicker than say towels or heavy hoodies. A larger load is going to take longer with both because you've got wet clothes much closer together. It's just going to take a lot longer for them to dry. Generally speaking, I would say it takes around 6 hours to dry a normal load of clothes. Towels and thicker clothes such as jumpers or a thick hoodie might take as much as 9 to 12 hours. Bed sheets are much faster. I can dry those in about 3 to 4 hours. Which one wins in terms of time? I would give a slight edge to the dehumidifier, but it is incredibly close. One really key thing that I found with both is that the drying time is much more efficient if you are available to turn your laundry or to rotate the rack around. What you want is to, with the airer, be turning clothes regularly so that different parts of the clothing have contact with the bars, and then with the heated airer you want to twirl the drying rack that you've got your clothes on around so that different parts of the rack are getting the sort of main blast of the dehumidifier. Getting a cover for your airer can speed up the time, or you can drape a bed sheet over there that just traps some warm air inside. And it's a similar story with the dehumidifier. I know a lot of people who have said to me that they drape a bed sheet over covering the dehumidifier and the laundry rack that they've hung their clothes on, and that has helped speed the process up a little, maybe by about 45 minutes. How they work is super simple with the heated airer. You simply fold it out and then switch on the on-off button. Unfortunately, this particular model doesn't have a timer, but the model up from it that Lakeland sells does have a timer. This dehumidifier here does have a timer. It has a laundry setting, which you can switch on just by pressing the laundry button on the control panel. The laundry setting will have the dehumidifier running for 6 hours. You'll see that there is a number on the display. This refers to the relative humidity in the room. Optimal indoor humidity levels are around 30 to 50%. Regularly when I put my laundry up in the utility room with the dehumidifier, it's often saying about 70%. By the time it's dry, it has brought it down to the 50s. Now, both of these items obviously will take up space in your home. The heated airer does fold down for handy storage where you can tuck it away somewhere. However, I would say the dehumidifier is of course a little bit more bulky. It has got a carry handle at the back here, which makes it easy for carrying from room to room. If you do want to stow it away in a cupboard, then you can do so when you're not using it. I can take you through what these specific devices cost to run, but please bear in mind that energy costs do depend on what make and model that you have. Some may cost more, some could cost a little bit less. So the Miko costs 5p an hour to run. And this particular heated airer costs 9p an hour to run. That's based on the current energy price cap. Of course, that price cap does go up and down. So in this specific comparison, the dehumidifier wins on costs. How do these costs stack up against a tumble dryer? Of course, the cost of a tumble dryer cycle is very much going to depend on what tumble dryer you have, what type, what make, what model. But as a very rough guide, you can expect a cycle with a tumble dryer to cost between 60p and around about £1.40. And it's the same with the airer too, although the costs get ever so slightly closer together, depending again on what type of tumble dryer you're using. Say we run the dehumidifier for 6 hours, that's going to cost us 30p, so significantly less than a tumble dryer cycle. If you decide to use a dehumidifier and a heated airer together to really turbocharge the drying time, you will reduce the drying time, but of course the cost of running both of these is more than just using one or the other, and therefore the cost saving, the energy cost saving versus a tumble dryer, the gap does start to narrow a little bit. The cost of these two items wasn't particularly different. This one is around £150, this one cost me around £160. You can, of course, spend a lot less for either with different makes and models. Aldi does a particularly popular heated airer, however, it often sells out. I think that retails for around £40. People are often raving about that, so it's worth keeping an eye out for when Aldi has more of those in stock. I personally think, based on my own research into this, that £100 is about the minimum spend for a decent dehumidifier that's actually gonna dry your laundry. So which one wins the contest for me? My personal preference is the dehumidifier. It costs less to run, this one does anyway. I found I can actually dry more clothes with this one than I can with the heated airer. That's because if I use my concertina drying rack next to the dehumidifier, I just seem to be able to get more clothes on there, and as long as I rotate the drying rack around so that all sides of the drying rack are having a spell being closest to the dehumidifier, that seems to help the process speed up quite a bit. If you've got two drying racks and you've got the space, you could line up both with the dehumidifier to dry even more laundry at once, which obviously would lead to an even greater saving on how much it would cost you versus a tumble dryer. Whichever one you do choose in the end, unfortunately neither can fold and put away your laundry for you. However, they will make the whole process much faster and more convenient, particularly in the winter months.